Hello, good evening. I'm truly honored to be here with you tonight, and thank you to the foundation for inviting me, and thank you all for sharing in this moment. We are here in memory of Sergio Vera de Mello and the 21 other men and women, most of the UN workers who died within him in the bombing of the UN headquarters in Baghdad in August 2003. We remember all those who died to acknowledge its valuable life cut short, and the families who share even today in their sacrifice. We also remember them for the power of the example they set. Brave individuals from 11 different countries working to help the Iraqi people at the direction of the United Nations Security Council and on behalf of all of us. This is sometimes forgotten that in serving under the UN flag, they died in our names as our representative and at their head. Sergio was a man of extraordinary grace and ability, as many who know him will testify. A man who gave a 30 years to the United Nations, rising from a field of officer to High Commissioner for Human Rights and Special Representative to Iran. From Bangladesh and Bosnia to South Sudan to East Timor, he spent the majority of his career in the field, working alongside people forced from their homes by war and assisting with them. His skill as a diplomat and negotiator, perhaps the greatest testament to his contribution is how much his advice will be valued today. As the Syrian conflict enters its 7th year, as we live through the gravest refugee crisis since the founding of the United Nations, as 20 million people are on the brink of death from starvation in Yemen, Somalia, South Sudan, and South Nigeria. I cannot imagine that there is anyone in the leadership of the United Nations who will not become the Ukrainian consul Sergio or send him into the field once more. Here is truly missed. It is humbling for me to speak tonight in the presence of members of Sergio's family and his former colleagues. And I never know Sergio, but I have stood before the plague in the place where he died. I feel profound sadness at the fact that the conflict in Iraq, the source of so much Iraqi suffering to this day, had claimed the life of men and women whose only intention was to try and improve a desperate situation. But I also saw clearly the value and nobility of a life spent in the service of others. Sergio was a man who never turned down an assignment, no matter how difficult and dangerous, who handled one impossible task after another. He was a man to borrow the words of Thomas Paine, whose country was the world and whose religion was to do good. He will always remain a hero and inspiration to all who follow in his footsteps. The UN's work did not end there. In the rubble of the Canal House, 14 years ago, hundreds of UN staff has served and continue to serve Iraq as they do from Afghanistan to Somalia. because the task of building peace security can never be abandoned to matter how bleak the situation. My thought on Sergio's life and legacy derive from my 16 years with UNHCR. The agency he spent so much of his career serving and representing. But I also speak as a citizen for my country, the United States. I believe all of us who work with the UN preserve this duality. The United Nations is not a country. It is a place where we come together as nation and people to try to resolve our difference and unite in common action. Also, hacking into the set. We are grappling with a level of conflict and insecurity that seem to exceed our will and capabilities with more resources than never before. With new wars erupting on top of existing conflict, some already lasting decades. We see a rising tide of nationalism masquerading as patriotism and the reemergence of policies encouraging fear and hatred of others. We see some political elected party on the basis of dismissing international institutions and agreements as if our countries have not benefited from cooperation but actually been harmed by it. I am a proud American and I am an internationalist. I believe anyone commits human rights it means seeing the world with a sense of fairness and humility and recognizing our own humanity in the struggles of others. It stems from love of one's country but not at the expense of others, from patriotism but not from narrow nationalism. It includes the view that success isn't being better or greater than others, but finding your place in a world where others succeed too, and that a strong nation like a strong person helps others to rise up and be independent. It is the spirit that made possible the creation of the UN, out of the rebel and ruin and 60 million deaths of World War II, so that even before the test of defeating nazism was complete, that generation of wartime leader was forcing the United Nations if government and leaders are not keeping the flame of internationalism alive. Then as citizens we must. The challenge is how to restore that sense of balance of hopefulness in our country while not sacrificing all we have learned about the value and necessity of internationalism. The memory of those who came before us hold us true to our ideal, resting unchanging in time. They remind us of who we are and what we stand for. They give us hope to stay in the fight, as Sergio died until his last breath. 14 years since his death, there is a stronger need than ever before for us to stay true to the ideals and purpose of the United Nations. That is what I hope his memory holds us today. We can't all be soldiers, but I hope all of us can determine that we shall be a generation that we know of, renew its commitment to unite our strength to maintain international peace and security, and to promote social progress and better standard of life in large freedom. But in the final analysis, even if we do not, even if that level of vision eludes us and we continue to simply manage rather than to try to overcome our generation challenge. We just have to keep working determinedly and patiently. And you know, and you can be certain that as you do that you follow the example of one of the UN's friend sons, and that to do even a little of his good to apply ourselves to the work he left unfinished in whatever what we can is a worthy task for all of us. Thank you.